Have Harry and Meghan officially lost their invitation to the coronation? And have they also been banned from the Buckingham Palace balcony? Hello everyone, welcome to Royal News Network. My name is Brittany, and today we are talking about all these swirling reports about Harry and Meghan and their attendance at the coronation. We know they have not RSVP'd yet. That's been pretty well established. It sounds like they're still trying to work out the details of what they're doing, and they haven't made a final decision yet, according to their own representatives. But we do have some pretty strong indications that, much like the Queen's Platinum Jubilee, they will be kicked off the balcony and relegated to somewhere else to watch the fly past, as it should be. But this is, I think, causing a lot more problems for Charles than he's letting on. And I think also he's not handling this as well as he should, because when it comes to Harry and Meghan, you can't deal with it as if these are civilized people that you can engage with, negotiate with. No. They're all about themselves and their own self-interest. They will assuredly throw you under the bus as quickly as possible if it suits their purposes. So I think Charles needs to play a lot more hardball than he is. And I will share with you guys my thoughts on this today and everything else going on. But if you guys haven't been here to Royal News Network before, like I said, my name is Brittany, and on this channel I provide compelling royal commentary about the latest news and a little bit of gossip as well from time to time. And I also will be reviewing television shows and movies and sharing a bit about history. I also have a weekly newsletter, a fashion channel dedicated to royals, and I have an upcoming trip to Scotland. So if you guys want to tour some Scottish castles with me and check out the Highlands and the Isle of Skye, go ahead and there's a link down below for an email list you can sign up for if you are interested in that. And just before we get into Harry and Meghan, super exciting news. We will see the Waleses for Easter. They'll be attending the Easter service, and fingers crossed we get little Louis this time. So he will be 5, and so he may be, will he be 5? He'll be 5 later this month. Is that right? Yes, that is right. And so he will be a little bit rambunctious, I'm sure, but it would just be so cute to see him. It would just be so nice to see little Louis there with his brother and sister. I mean, he's almost 5. He can do it. He's in school now. He can handle himself in a church service for a bit, but we'll see the Waleses and the kids, and they're currently on spring break, or their term break, so that is going to be a really exciting little moment. But Harry and Meghan and the coronation, oh my gosh, this is like the drama that will never end. It just goes on and on and on and on. And really it's regarding whether or not they will attend and all their supposed demands going on around. So the RSVP date for the emails was allegedly April 3rd. Obviously that's passed, and we do not have a determination about whether or not they will attend. And they're apparently still trying to negotiate with Charles. And one article said as well is that they're apparently, Harry wants to know what's going on, what will be happening. He needs to know before he says okay. And I'm like, but it's not your event. You were a guest at this event. So you don't really have the right to know all that's going on, because really you will be directed to go from point A to point B to point C to point D. You're not really in charge of this. But Harry and Meghan very much have it in their minds, as they're control freaks, and they're also very attached and obsessed with a certain image. And they want that image to be on the Buckingham Palace balcony. They want to be prominently featured. But like we all know, they've left. They're constitutionally irrelevant, especially as time goes on. More and more monarchies are slimming down and focusing on just the heir. So Harry really just doesn't have the gravitas he thinks he does to make these kind of demands. And at the end of the day, he is just there to support his father and his brother. He's not there. He will have no official role. He'll have nothing to do, I'm sure. He'll be relegated to the back row, him and Meghan, wherever they happen to be, because they're there not to be the centers of attention, not to establish themselves as the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. They're just there as two hangers-on who just need a little bump in their roles. And so they're just going to go to the coronation just because they just need a little bit of that press attention. We all know that's the only reason really why they're going, is that they're still focused and obsessed on the monarchy. Even though they voluntarily left, the monarchy accepted their resignation, and the monarchy basically said, best of luck on your future endeavors, and that is it. But Harry and Meghan just can't give up that dream, especially Meghan. She really wanted to be, I think, Queen of the Commonwealth. She wanted to take over the monarchy and remake it in her own image. But again, she's married to the spare. She doesn't really have the pull to do all the things she wanted to do. She never did. And so that she has this in her mind is still somewhat odd. And then we also have this notion that Harry and Meghan wanted the balcony moment to be a special family time, that they were looking at it, it was a special family moment they wanted to commemorate. And I'm like, the balcony appearance after the coronation is not a special family moment. Do you know when that is? That's in June for the Proving the Color. No, this is a state occasion. So that means it is representing the state. Charles is taking over as head of state from Queen Elizabeth. He represents the government of the United Kingdom. Not only that government, but New Zealand, Australia, Canada, and several other Commonwealth countries. And so he is representative as this huge institution. So it's not a time for there to be a cute little moment between Archie and George or Charlotte or something. No. This is a state formal occasion. These will be very, very formal roles. And I don't know this for sure, but I'm just thinking out loud here a bit, that when George became king and during his coronation, it wasn't all his nieces and nephews up there with him and his daughters. No, it was just his 2 daughters, because they are the heirs. They are the next in line. So this notion that somehow we need like the extended family up there just for kicks and grins and giggles is just silly. Apparently what they're doing is they're just relegating it to just the working members of the royal family, as it should be. I could even see it being smaller, just being much like at the very end of the Queen's Platinum Jubilee when it was just Charles, Camilla, the Queen, and the Waleses. I could see that also being a distinct possibility. But I think having the extended families up there is good because they all work for the monarchy. The Gloucesters, the Kents, they have all, Princess Alexandra, you know, the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh, they have all spent time, effort, energy, years and years, decades and decades in some cases of their lives serving the monarchy. Harry and Meghan couldn't even make it 2 years. She did not serve that institution except for a little under 2 years before bolting and claiming that it was the entire institution's fault that she left. And so Harry and Meghan thinking they have leverage here, I just find utterly bizarre, because we have even a new popularity poll coming out from YouGov showing that, again, Harry and Meghan are some of the least popular members of the royal family. Who's more popular? William and Kate. Although everybody took a bit of a hit after Spare, William and Kate are recovering faster than Harry and Meghan. And so the idea that the public is just clamoring to see Harry and Meghan, and the Harry and Meghan think they have some sort of leverage to say, well, you know, we're just so popular, we're just so needed, you guys need us there, you need us there too. And it's like, well, no, the public says they don't like you, so why would we give you a prominent role knowing that the public doesn't like you, knowing that bringing you up there is just not going to make you all that popular. And so I think the question comes down here at the end of the day is that Charles needs to make a huge decision here. Does he let this drag out on for infinity as they argue and negotiate, yada, yada, yada? Or does he take a hard line? And this would be my suggestion, is to pick an arbitrary date that is only you know and your most trusted advisor. And when that date passes and you have no agreement, say Harry and Meghan aren't going publicly. Don't tell them you're telling them that, the world that. Just do it and see what the reaction might be. Because I think Harry and Meghan may react rather quickly when they're told, oh yeah, guess what? They're not going because they did not inform us in enough time to actually make the proper arrangements. Because Charles, I think, is giving them way too much rope here. He is just giving them just too much bandwidth in this situation. It's the same thing that happened with Archie and Lily. Because there was no definitive, they are going to be styled the children of a duke, or they're going to be styled as just as they are without any royal titles at all. Harry and Meghan were able to, even though they were negotiating with the palace, I think, and had been discussing it, all of a sudden they were able to throw the palace completely under the bus and just come out and say, yeah, we've named our daughter Princess Lilibet now. She's Princess Lilibet. So what can you do about it? The monarchy needs to deal with Harry and Meghan in the same way. So the April 3rd date has passed. They're still making all the arrangements as if they're coming. But if Harry and Meghan continue to make outrageous demands, I'm sure they want to be in everything. I'm sure they want to have their moment in the limelight. And that's just something that can't happen. You know you're gonna have an impasse. You know that things cannot go well. And Harry and Meghan are just waiting because they, I think to a certain extent, enjoy the publicity, but they're also hoping the more they get you to bend, the better things might be for them. They're all in this for themselves. They don't care about the monarchy. They don't care about Charles. They don't care about the institution. They don't care about the country. They're just in it for what they can get for themselves. And so Charles, I think, and whoever his closest advisor is, should make the decision to go, hey, let's say on April 10th, if we have no decision, we just announce they're not coming, because they've made it to the extent where we cannot plan this is such an important occasion. We just can't plan. We just can't think with this indecision. We have to make a decision, because you're not making one. You're not making one. You're dragging your feet. You're like, oh, I don't know. Like, what about our security? What about the kids? We need Archie's birthday commemorated publicly on your coronation day. You need to just cut them off and just say they're not coming, because they've made it so that they can't come. You have to treat them like children, because they are children. So you have to say, hey, we gave them a deadline. They didn't meet the deadline. Too bad, so sad. Love, Dad. That was something I think my 3rd grade teacher taught me, or something, a little phrase, but I love it. Too bad, so sad. Love, Dad. That's the hard and fast rule you have to make at some point. And you can't tell them that. You can't give them 24 hours notice, 10 minutes notice. No. You have to come out. And then you might get an apologetic, oh, no, we're so sorry. Because that is kind of the hardball politics that you got to play here. You cannot play this straight. You have to play this as rough as they're going to play this, because Harry and Meghan aren't going to give you an inch. And so you have to be the one who takes a hard stance. You can't leave things hanging. You can't leave things up in the air. Because here's the truth. Even though Harry and Meghan are all concerned about their security, oh, what will happen? Harry went to the UK. Was he accosted? No. Did he have a run-in photographer and literally get slapped in the face by his own media whore attention-seeking ways? Yes, he did. That was really, really funny. He was just slapped right in the face with the camera. But he went there, and yes, he does need a bit of security, but does he need Met security? No. Was he able to get in and out of the courthouse? Okay, yes. Did we know where he was staying? No. So why do we need to have this huge apparatus around them all the time? Again, this just feeds into their narcissism and delusions. And Harry was willing to come to the UK for a court case where he did not testify. He had no role. He could have streamed it live from California. I mean, he would have had to have gotten up super early, but he could have done it all from the comfort of his own home. But he won't go to the UK for family reasons without making obscene demands on people. But he will willingly go to a court case that fuels his paranoia, his narcissism, his ego, his consuming need to quote unquote save Meghan Markle and save himself and save the United Kingdom. He is saving the United Kingdom one selfish act at a time, because he's the bearer of all things good. And so he's willing, more than willing, to come and get his own ego stroked. But he's not willing to come to help and support his father. And he's also, this is key too, he wasn't willing to come and visit his grandmother. Hardly ever. The day before she died, he was in the UK. He was in London or Windsor. They were staying at Frogmore Cottage. They could have flown to Scotland and visited her just one day before she passed. He didn't do it. This man cares about nothing but himself. So if Charles is thinking at some point Harry's going to wake up, or Harry's going to want to, help protect the family and help support the family, no. He's in it for whatever he can get for himself. And at this point, that doesn't include Charles, William, the monarchy, the Wales' kids. He doesn't care about any of that. It's all about him. And here's the thing. Harry and Meghan need the monarchy a heck of a lot more than it needs them. And that's why they were always going to go. They're going to go. Of course they are. This endless dithering, trying to get their way in some form or another, it's just never going to work. It didn't work at the Queen's Platinum Jubilee. Do you know what happened as soon as it was officially announced that they were on the balcony? They confirmed their attendance, literally within minutes. Because they were negotiating. They were trying to get on the balcony, and Buckingham Palace is like, no, we're going forward with this announcement. And Harry and Meghan were just like, well, okay, fine, we'll go, because they needed that little bit. They needed something for Netflix. They needed to have that birthday party in the UK for Lily, a child who's only spent 3 days there, and I was going to call her Princess Lily of Sussex, even though she hasn't spent any time in Sussex or in the United Kingdom for that matter. And I think the sole purpose of that trip really was to get a picture of Her Majesty the Queen with Lilibet, so they could have the Lilibet and sell it to Netflix. That's, I think, the true origin of that trip. So it wasn't about to celebrate the Queen, because you got to think too, they didn't spend any time with the family. They spent a little bit of time with everyone at the Trooping the Colour, but they didn't go back and watch the fly past over St. James's Palace with everybody else. We saw all the other family members go up there. They didn't go to the lunch after the service of Thanksgiving for the Queen. They didn't go to the concert. They didn't go to the pageant. Why? Why? You were there. This was a time for you to hang out with your family, friends, see people you haven't seen in a long time, to celebrate and commemorate your grandmother who has served 70 years on the British throne, a historic milestone. But you couldn't do it. You couldn't do it. And so now we're expecting you to want to come to the coronation and actually, you know, support and represent your father. No, it's all self-serving purposes anymore. Everything they do is entirely self-serving. They need to go to the coronation though, because they need to reestablish their royal credentials, because every time they call themselves the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, they look sillier every single time. Meghan, there was something interesting. So Meghan's getting this Vision Award. Again, I think the only Vision Award she should get is somehow manipulating a weak-willed man into giving up his family, his country, his heritage, his friends, his life, basically everything about himself in order to appease his fame-hungry wife. That is the Vision Award she gets. But they had to like greatly expand all the different things about her in this section. Like, you know, she's a co-founder of Archwell Foundation. She's in yada yada. You know, the company that the foundation she only works 1 hour a week for, and pretty much that is actually technically board meetings. So she probably only meets and discusses things about the foundation 4 times a year, maybe, that sounds like hard work to me. That sounds like real hard work to me. And then they also had to go through Vanity Fair, they posted on Twitter, Meghan Markle won this Vision Award. Then they had to go back and adjust it and say the Duchess of Sussex. And what did they do? How did they spell it? D-U-T-C-H-E-S-S. Yes, they couldn't even spell Duchess correctly, which is hysterical. It's hysterical that they couldn't even spell Duchess correctly. And so you have this obsession with this title, and Meghan needs the credentials of the monarchy. She's trading off it. Their whole success thus far has been their ability to trade and create their value from the monarchy and the brand of the monarchy. And so Harry and Meghan need to go to the coronation because they made the crucial fundamental error. And this is, I think, the only way their popularity will ever dip back upwards is if they drop any pretense of caring about the monarchy at all, or at least Meghan does, except for what it can get for her. And if they stop this endless saving the world complex that they have and just admit they're in it for the fame, the fortune, and the luxury and all the cash that they can get. Because that is actually truly what they're after. And if they do that, then I think people will be like, oh, okay, well, at least they're kind of lowbrow people, but at least they're being honest about their intentions. It's this dishonesty about the intentions, I think, that really do get people frustrated after a while, because they seem to be, again, solely focused on everything that it can gain them. So when it comes to the coronation, I think the monarchy needs to take a firm line, because I think this is starting to make Charles look really, really weak here. They got outplayed by the Lilibet and Archie title situation. And they've been outplayed a couple other times by Harry and Meghan. And they need to figure out how to play hardball here. And they need to start playing hardball and never stop playing it. Because Meghan Markle is relentless. She doesn't care about the institution. She doesn't care about your feelings. She doesn't care about the family. She doesn't care about anything about that. And so if you come at everything with the intention of, well, we're just going to deal with them the best way that we can. It's like, you still deal with them cordially. You still be kind and gracious. But if it comes to a point where it's April 10th and you haven't given us an RSVP, we're telling the world you're not coming, and see how they react, because that's the hardball you need to play. And we got a little bit of that perhaps with Frogmore, but Charles needs to be sharper here, because Meghan is pretty relentless. I don't think she'll ever stop, but she will get at least a bit of her comeuppance if the monarchy can actually reestablish itself in the way that it needs to by playing hardball, by being really, really strict and concise with what it's doing, and not just giving Harry and Meghan the latitude to do what they feel like they want to do, and force them to accept that the monarchy has certain qualifications. And if Harry and Meghan can't meet them, if Harry and Meghan can't live within the world of the monarchy, well, you lose out, because like I said, Harry and Meghan need the monarchy a heck of a lot more than it needs them. And the monarchy is just going to go from strength to strength, but it won't do that unless they can sever that Harry and Meghan connection. They need to work on that. They need to work really hard on that, because Harry and Meghan are just going to continue to drag them down for the foreseeable future. So guys, let me know what you think about all these crazy coronation rumblings. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye.